Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Well, time for a fact that makes your brain go. And a local fact that the state of Indiana is doing something to the state of Illinois that if it was the olden days would cause a war. I'm not sure it'll cause a war. In fact, I don't know if anybody really cares about this or not. So we're getting it out there for you to decide. Case guessed, steal our horses.
Yes, I did.
Now, what that did lead me to a wormhole before we give you the answer in this break was to see how many wild horses are in Illinois right at this moment. There are over 80,000. I was shocked by that number. 80,000 wild horses on federal lands in Illinois. The Bureau of Land Management manages most of the nation's wild horses and burros. I guess a burro is another kind of horse.
I thought it was a donkey.
Is that what it is?
A burro or a bureau?
Well, it's spelled like a churro, so
I think that's a donkey. A burro is a donkey.
Oh, yeah, it's a donkey.
Yeah.
There's wild donkeys in Illinois?
How many? Well, before we talk about the donkey aspect of this, you said there were 80,000 wild horses in Illinois?
And donkeys, apparently.
I would have taken the under on 80,000 horses in America.
Wild horses. So there's
but that's more rare. Because I had domesticated horses as a kid.
Is that, whoa.
I grew up in farmland.
And how did you domesticate them? Did you steal them and then beat them down?
I took them from the state of Illinois. I said, I'm coming back to Indiana with these guys.
Well, apparently a burro, there's a lot of them in Illinois, wild as well. And you know they can run 15 miles an hour, a donkey?
Well, so can I.
Only because Wikipedia came up and it said donkey. It said burro is a donkey and they can run 15 miles an hour. I don't know why that's the progression of facts when you look up a burro.
Well, that would be my next question is how fast are these suckers? Can I race them or not? And I think I could beat a donkey in a foot race.
Clearly not. Can you run 15 miles an hour?
I think so. 15 miles an hour is, that's the speed of a car.
How long could you run 15 miles an hour?
100-meter dash, I'm taking the donkey out.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a running, like.
But 100 meters is a run.
It's a run, but it's a short run.
It's a sprint, to be specific.
10 seconds for the world record. That's not very long.
But I think I could run 100 meters in 15 seconds, and I think a donkey wouldn't do it in under 20.
No. You know what? Coming up this summer, we're going to have donkey races here on the show.
If anybody has a donkey that we can rent, let me know.
Apparently there's wild ones we can just go take.
Oh, good. Oh, thank God.
So, you are incorrect, by the way. Indiana's not stealing our horses. What they're doing, and this should be terrifying, I think, maybe possible a war situation could happen, what Indiana's doing to Illinois. The Indiana House caucus, the Republican caucus, announced its intent to redraw state lines of Indiana to welcome dozens of Illinois counties that want to secede from their state. So they're trying to take land from Illinois that is willing and able. They're not taking it by force, but then again, a lot of wars have started this way with friendly banter. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, some muskets came out and millions of people died and wars lasted 15 years.
And also, back in olden days, nobody had any hobbies. War was like an activity.
Yeah,
it was something to get through the day with.
You couldn't binge Entourage in the 1800s, so
nothing.
You might as well go to war.
Think about, especially pre-baseball, you only had war. That was the only play you could do.
And baseball's been around a long time. War's been around longer than baseball.
Since the beginning of time. War,
what
is it good for?
According to the speaker, more than 30 Illinois counties have voted, I didn't know this, to secede from Illinois since 2020. 30 counties have voted to secede with the frustrating high taxes, which we do have one of the highest tax states in the country, without question. So I didn't know, though, that people have voted to secede from Illinois.
Nor did I. It feels like that should have been a bigger story.
How did we miss that? We've talked about every new food item at McDonald's last year, but we missed that people were voting to secede.
Secede is a threatening word. That's a big thing to do.
Last time it happened, there was a long war.
4 years, to be specific.
And nearly 1 million people died. Okay, so seceding and creating a 51st state, they're even thinking of doing, but really just to join Indiana. So this is a bill that's going through the Indiana General Assembly that would create an Indiana-Illinois Boundary Adjustment Commission tasked with helping those Illinois counties become part of the Hoosier state. It's HB 1008 if it passes. to actually do that. Now, this process follows a constitutional process for redrawing state boundaries. We could lose our border. Like when you see what Illinois looks like, which is kind of a weird when you see the drawing of it. Like Michigan, people hold up their hands to show the thumb. And, there's other states that are a little more defining. Florida is kind of like a dong, I guess.
A panhandle is what they actually... Florida's like a dong. That's nice, Brian.
It's like a flaccid dong. I don't know what Illinois is, but if we lost some of those little curvatures around Indiana, I guess I'd be disappointed.
Well, okay.
At the least, I wouldn't go to war over it, but I'd be disappointed.
That's the problem, is that you want to go to war over it. Can I be conspiratorial for a second? Can I put on my tinfoil hat?
Of course.
I think this whole issue is being drawn up by Big Map, because I think the map industry is struggling. Think about it, Brian. Everybody who has a map of the 50 United States, this great nation, God bless America, everybody who has a map or wants a map already has a map. There's no need to buy a map in 2025, but if they redraw the state boundaries, all of a sudden the map industry is going to shoot through the roof. Your thoughts on that?
I'm letting it marinate. Give me a second. When you hear a conspiracy theory, you can't say, yes, I'm in right away.
Why else would they do this? Follow the money. The money's going to the maps. And my guess is our congressmen and women probably have stocks invested in map drawing.
When you're driving on the turnpike or even any highway, let's say, where there's a rest stop, and you go in there and they still have the big map in there?
Yes, because before you continue, I come from a generation, I've never used a paper map. I couldn't begin to figure out how to use a paper map. I can barely follow at the malls where they have the directory that says, you are here, here's the Banana Republic. I can barely handle that, let alone a cross-country road trip with a paper map.
Well, they do the same things in those rest stops where they're, you are here. And let's say Springfield is down here.
Yeah.
And every time I'm on a road trip, there are men gathered around that map discussing what's on the map between here and Springfield and where they could possibly stop for a good diner. Your GPS won't tell you that. These old guys will.
Well,
whenever you're seeing old guys around a map, perk up, get your ears ready, take a listen, lean in. Because there's some great information you're going to get there that GPS won't tell you.
And you hit the nail on the head. It's always men gathered around the map. I've never seen a woman look at that map. And by the way, they're allowed to, and if they want to, they can. But it's only old men looking at that map.
Well, listen, they're going to go over to there's always some kind of woman's section at the rest stop they're going to go to. I don't know what that is.
What's the woman's section?
The magazine rack? I don't know. There's still magazines there, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, Martha Stewart's got to stay in business somehow.
So we have people already. See, this is what's going to happen. Wars have started like this. Edward checked in and said, let them have those counties. We don't want them. That's how wars start. Some people in the county want to stay, and then they're going to build a fence, and they can't get out of the county. They have to be part of the county. This is very serious that Indiana wants to take counties from Illinois. This should not be brushed over as a joke. They want to take them. Also, a lot of people on the text line want to see a donkey show here at Q101.
Well, that's a separate issue. That's later.
Can we put that on a back burner for a minute? We're talking about losing population and losing counties.
I guess here's my question for you. And Brian, I'm curious to see if you can answer this.
Okay.
The people that live in the counties that want to secede.
Yeah.
Now Indiana wants to take over our border. Why can't the people living in those counties just move to Indiana? Why do we have to change our border for their problem?
Because they have a nice house. They just maybe got some new carpeting. And what are they going to do?
Don't install new carpeting if you don't like the county that you live in. That's rule number 1 of home ownership.
But they didn't think it was going to happen, so all of a sudden it's going to happen.
Well, these taxes aren't new.
I just bought new carpeting. I can't move now. Can't do it.
I'm forced to secede. I have no other choice.
I can't secede with new carpeting.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. If you just joined us, the fact that makes your brain go is that Indiana is trying to grab 30 counties from Illinois and redraw the border in an effort to, those counties voting to secede from Illinois, and they have nowhere to go on the border there except to Indiana. I'd love to see if Cook County voted. How can you move Cook County to Indiana? Cook County goes pretty damn far toward the border, but there's another county in between there because that's where the highest tax areas are. That's what this is all about. I think people paying too much taxes, we all know that. It's true. But seceding is a different thing. If it was the old days, you were going to war over a secession. So People are texting in on this. I said, are you guys into this?
Are you into going into war?
Well, would you go to war? And this is how wars started. There was no text line back in the day, but people's ideas and carrying it too far, when you think about it too much, yeah, let's do this.
Well, it's great because Kendrick from Uptown checked in, and Brian, this is the first guy that you paid for to go to the White Sox game last year, and we were trying to see them break the all-time losing record.
I remember Kendrick, yes.
He's our guy. We love him. He texted in all caps that he's ready to go to war with Indiana and that he's going for Gary, Indiana first.
See?
He's ready to go.
If you say things emphatically and really lay it out there, you can get an army ready to go. So who else is in?
Let that be a lesson for today. Forming an army is not as hard as you'd think it is.
Well, Kendrick, since you're first in, by the way, you're a general.
That's right. That's right. That's how that works.
You get the kick-ass tank, the kick-ass Jeep. You get a whole bunch of drones you can send over. You can stay in Uptown and send the drones to Gary.
Boy, that's a dark thought. to lead a war from the comfort of your own home because of drones is something that I have never considered before.
Thanks for being the first to check in, Kendrick. That's what you get for being the first one.
God bless.
Also, Chef Sean checked in, talking about Indiana trying to grab our counties and become part of Indiana. He says they're in it for the money, not the topography.
Jonas, son of a bitch.
Who is that, honey?
Jonas Miller, he's a night crawler. We all start out in the same lab, and Jonas went out and got himself some corporate sponsors. He's in it for the money, not the science.
That's Brian and Kenzie, Q101. Get ready for war.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Before we get to Gil Curtis with your headlines, apparently this morning we have inadvertently started war with Indiana here in Illinois because Indiana's trying to take counties that have voted to secede actually legally. Indiana, their state senate is trying to enact a bill where they could actually accept these counties from Illinois that are upset of the high taxes, which I get. I get it. I'm up in Wrigleyville. I don't think I can secede to Indiana from Wrigleyville if I want to. It's too far.
It's tough. Logistically, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, we got that map guy at the rest stop to kind of figure out how I could do that. That old guy there, maybe he could help me out.
It feels like a big opportunity for the crane industry to figure out how to take individual parts of Illinois and drop them into Indiana.
Or can't they extend the Skyway to my house? It's not that much farther. They're 20 miles. All right, so a lot of people texting in on this. 708 said, we're going to march into Indianapolis with the Q101 flag.
I feel like Ben Revere. What's his name? Paul Revere? Ben Revere? I think
Paul Revere.
Ben Revere, I think, was a basketball player.
Ben was his cousin.
Yeah.
Ben sat home while Paul said, wake up, we got to tell everybody the British are coming. He's like, nah, they're not coming tonight. Come on.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Phil checked in. He makes a great point here. This is what happens when Kenzie's out sick, is that Brian and I induce war. I mean, this is everything Eisenhower warned us about, but there's something really intoxicating about the thought of going to war, because Juan checked in from Batavia, and he doesn't just want to stick with going to war with Indiana. He wants to go to Indiana, and then he wants to go to Wisconsin, and then he wants to go to Michigan. We're going to take over the whole Midwest.
Oh, my God.
Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
Yeah! By the way, before this war begins, which it seems like it's already started here at 6:30 this morning, I love Indiana. Valpo has every kind of restaurant you could want. When you get there, I mean, every single possibility of food, chain restaurant-wise, is waiting for you right there at 65 and the Turnpike.
Least we forget, I'm from there. My family lives there. This is going to be an issue where it's going to be like the Civil War, where brothers would see each other in battle. I would have to go to war against my brother.
I want to see you and the double features who also live in Indiana, by the way. We can't lose the double features. I want to see them. They're great graphic designers. Of you in a Civil War outfit and a musket and that hat.
Oh, God, I hope I'm representing the North.
No, facing off against your brother. The image has to be and your dad at their horse farm in Fishers, Indiana.
Oh, God, I don't want to go to war against my family.
I think it's inevitable, and I think it's going to happen.
You let me there.
Oh, God. Let's just get it
Back
started.
the White House!
All right, we'll continue to keep updates on this war that's been started this morning. In the meantime, it's Gil Curtis with your headlines. I don't think he has anything on war. He's just probably entertainment news. We'll see what happens.
This is not headline news. President Biden delivered his farewell address last night. Then he disappeared like Obi-Wan Kenobi, leaving nothing but a crumpled suit on the floor. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire. And you know what that means? Tension in the Middle East is officially gone forever. JCPenney, Forever 21, Aeropostale, and Eddie Bauer are now part of the same company. Because bankruptcy is more fun as a group. There were no new fires in Los Angeles yesterday. Also not catching fire in LA yesterday, Andy Dick's career. And Dave Grohl spent his birthday making meals for LA fire victims. Dave's very good at putting buns in the oven. This is not headline news.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. And the fact today that makes your brain go: lit a firestorm in the 6 o'clock hour and the 7 o'clock hour all morning long. So later on today, make sure you do go to the podcast to check out those first hours. This is the fact that Indiana is trying to annex parts of Illinois and rewrite the border of Illinois. If this was olden times, 1800s, this would have caused a war. But it seems like it may have happened already anyway with our discussion of this morning in the 6 o'clock hour. So what's going on is the Indiana House Republican Caucus announced its intent to redraw state lines. Think about that. Redraw the state lines and welcome dozens of Illinois counties that want to secede from the state. Allegedly, there's 30 Illinois counties that want to secede since 2020 because of frustrations with high taxes.
And by the way, 30 is a big number.
I thought it was going to be one.
If it was 6, I'd be like, whatever. 30 counties is a lot of counties.
Illinois is already a losing population. We can't lose 30 counties. I mean,
that's the state. How many counties are in the state?
I guess I got to Google that.
Yeah, sorry.
How many
I guess you're going to spell
counties?
it out.
You know what? That's a third of our counties. There's 102 counties in Illinois.
I can't believe.
That's a lot.
We've had the local news on the TV in our studio all morning. How is this not the only thing they're talking about?
We ask a question on here, should we care about this? No one else is talking about this but us. I mean, you're talking about, okay, a third of Illinois then is gone. I don't know what we'll look like then.
Well, this is the point I made earlier, is I think this is fueled by big map. I think the map industry is losing millions. Everybody who wants a map has a map, and this is their way of getting all of these people that own maps back onto the market, because we would have to update what the country looks like.
Think about, as you know your whole life, what Indiana and Illinois look like on a map.
No matter where you are, how old you are, where you're listening, we know what those two states look like. They've been the same for our entire lives.
Now, we got a little excited this morning and talked about this at length, and it turns out we may have actually started. We know there's skirmishes on the border right now defending. The war has begun, and it really started with the Quiznos closing in Valpo.
That was the first shot. That was the Franz Ferdinand.
That was
That was
first
it.
shots fired. And so many people have checked in about this on both sides of the border. Case being from Indiana, having to turn against his own family to defend Illinois and keep those counties.
I'm incredibly conflicted. And I cannot emphasize enough, if you just got in your car and you're hearing us talk about this for the first time, the first 90 minutes of the show today were only this. And I have been battling myself the entire morning as to whether or not, myself being from Indiana, if I would fight along the Hoosiers, the Indiana side, or if I would stay where I'm at and fight along the Illinois side. And I feel like I'm a free agent right now. I need compelling offers from both sides on who I should join.
You actually think you're in demand in this war? Like, you could call your shot at what you deserve to have Case defend either Indiana or Illinois.
That is a top one meanest thing ever said to me. That is at the top of the list.
I'm glad I could do that for you today.
Do you not want to go into battle with me? Are you not entertained?
I'm a little... Wow. He hasn't watched Gladiator yet. Tomorrow he watches...
I watched Gladiator before Christmas.
Oh, that's right. You have seen Gladiator.
That's the only reason I know the line.
That's right. Not two, but you've seen Gladiator, and he's going to watch Rudy tomorrow day. And also Indiana related, of course. Phil checked in and said, this is what happens when Kenzie isn't there. We start a war with Indiana. Kenzie's sick today. He says also, but yeah, I'm in. Let's take the dunes.
Well, Juan checked in from Batavia, and Juan's been with us all morning. He says he's now captured, as he put it, 20 Indiana-ins, and tomorrow we write again, let the demands begin.
Wait a minute, he's got 20 hostages?
I'm afraid we're going to lose Juan.
This is very disturbing. We're just talking here. We didn't enact anything, although we did actually anoint one general.
We did Kendrick.
Kendrick of Uptown is a general.
That's right. We sent him to a White Sox game last year to see if they could make history. He's been texting us every day since. He's the man. And because he was the first one to say that he would go across state lines, he is now a general. Also, Brian, people are demanding that you do indeed buy a snowmobile. This is something else we've been talking about this week. You need to buy a snowmobile so you can lead your snowmobile troops into battle.
Think of the look that would have.
That'd be the scariest thing I've ever seen.
I'm putting flames on my snowmobile. I'm painting flames. And I'm going to have also a paintball gun launcher on the front.
I would honestly rather see an atomic bomb coming at me than an army of snowmobiles. That would be less scary.
Chad checked in and said, as a Hoosier, you can have Gary, but please spare Valpo. I don't want to pay Illinois taxes where I work. Listen, everything's negotiable at this point. It just started, okay? Everything has just got underway here, and we're interested in reports from the border of what's going on all morning. Thank you for checking in. And we appreciate the sensitivity of this issue because, boy, this is how wars start.
This is it.
Just conversation, but then people take it into action.
Well, I asked Brian during that last song, I said, are you sure we should invade Indiana? I mean, is this a good idea for us? And do you remember what you said to that?
I said, it doesn't matter. It started now. We have to make our point.
We have to finish it.
We have to finish it. Which is also how a lot of wars start and end for no reasoning thought.
No one wants to be the bigger man here.
Mike checked in from Indiana. He says Indiana has low taxes. But that's all. They don't plow, salt, fix roads. I think their engineers come from IU. I'm from Indiana, where we go to Illinois for parks and recreation.
There you go.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Now, they have the dunes, which I've been to, which are amazing, in Miller Beach.
So they have the dunes. Mm-hmm. They have the Horseshoe Casino.
Yeah, we've got to take the Horseshoe Casino.
We've got to get the casino.
And the Hard Rock, too.
And if we had both casinos, I'm getting so excited here. If we had both casinos.
Now, imagine if we take both casinos. And then the people of Indiana, we'll say that are in, hostages by this point.
Yeah.
We can let them go for a higher rate to go into the casinos for some sort of entertainment. In Red Dawn, you haven't seen Red Dawn yet as a movie. That's a movie kind of where the Russians take over, but they still let the civilians have some kind of activities.
Oh, Captain, my captain, I am ready to follow you into battle. I've never been more confident in any plan in my entire life.
Now, this is where it's getting scary. Barry said, why stop there? Michigan? Keep going? Well, this is just getting a little bit carried away, I think.
I don't know.
Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
For Indiana, no sleep till we take the state. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Indiana trying to annex counties of Illinois. And we started a war this morning to defend those counties. They can't leave. You can't leave. Have you seen A Bronx Tale?
I have.
Oh, you've seen that movie.
My dad made me watch it before I went to college, because there's the line in there's nothing worse than wasted talent. And my dad said, your one rule before you go to college is you have to watch A Bronx Tale and then remember that.
But you don't remember that line. You remember more so, you just can't leave. Or the door test.
The door test, of course. We explained that to Kenzie. It did not go well.
It didn't go over.
She did not understand the door test.
312-591-8300. And one more reason to take Indiana. What do we got to secure in Indiana as the Illinois-Indiana border war starts?
Abby from Elgin has found the way to my heart. I can't believe I neglected to mention this all morning. Indiana has the Albanese Gummy Factory, which is where you get the best gummy bears in the world, the best chocolate-covered pretzels in the world. Any candy that you want that is finely crafted, you can find at the Albanese Gummy Factory. It is one of my favorite places on earth, and once we take the casinos, we're going straight for the Gummy Bear Factory.
Yeah! Is it in Northwest Indiana?
It is, yeah. It's in the region, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I stop there. When I go home with my family to Indianapolis for Christmas, we always make a point of stopping there. We stock up on Christmas gifts there. It looks like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory during the holidays. I have seen armed security outside of this candy factory because it gets so nuts during the holidays.
It's so interesting the way you talk about it with such passion that I don't remember ever getting any gummies from this place for a gift in the 6 years you've been in my life.
Correct.
Why is that?
Because I don't want to get you a gift.
Oh, God.
I see you every day.
I want some sours. They have sours?
They have sours.
I want sours.
They sell them at Jewel. You can go to Jewel and get some.
Well, you just talked about this place like it was heaven.
I know, it's awesome.
And I'm fine with going to Jewel to get my sour candy, my sour gummies, but you go buy this place.
I have to do another thing for you? I'm always doing things for you.
Add it to the list.
Oh, God.
312-591-8300. Call in, or text in, I should say, with your takeaway, 312-591-8300. Takeaway from today's show. What was memorable to you? Text your takeaway in right now.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.